What's going on, y'all? Welcome to today's episode of The Sully Show. Now, in case you can't tell by the wonderful spread of things I have in front of me, we're not going to be doing a normal whiskey review today. Today, I'm going to show y'all how to make a very basic old-fashioned. If you've never heard of an old-fashioned, it's basically, it's technically a mixed drink, but you don't put a whole lot of things in it to change the flavor of the whiskey. You just kind of add things to enhance it a little bit. So it's a very popular drink, especially among bourbon makers, bourbon drinkers. It's primarily made with bourbon. You can use anything you want, but primarily it's made with bourbon. Basically, just throw it all in there to kind of change the flavor of the bourbon a little bit, enhance it a little bit, but you're not like mixing with Coke to like just cut it out, basically. You're just trying to, it's like a different way to drink bourbon, basically. This is going to be a very, very basic old-fashioned. Alright, this is like nothing fancy. This is like, you know, you want to try it, you're homemade, you don't want to keep a bunch of stuff in the house, whatever. This is the most basic old-fashioned that you can basically get right here. So, let's just dive right into it. Alright, first thing, I always start with my cherries. Some good Mishamisho, however you say that, Mishimino cherries. These are the ones from the ice cream section. Alright, you go to the store, get the ones from the ice cream section, because they're like the same thing and like half the price because they're sold as ice cream cherries, not cocktail cherries. So, little tip for you there. Oh, got a spoon. I have a fancy little bar spoon. You can use any spoon, obviously. You just gotta scoop out a cherry. So, go one cherry, and then I kind of like to put just a little bit of this cherry juice in here. Makes it just a little bit sweeter, which is kind of what I like. And then I also, this is another optional step, I'll take my spoon and like split the cherry in half, like break it open a little bit just so that it's like, you know, the juices of the cherry can spread out more and it's not like a whole cherry, it's busted open. Next, your ice. Normally in an old fashioned you use like one big ice cube, it's typically square, you use like one big square ice cube, but not everyone has square ice cubes at the house. So you can make it with regular ice cubes, and that's what we're going to do today. Simple syrup. If you don't have simple syrup, it's water and sugar is all it is. I'm pretty sure it's like a 50-50 mix. I could be wrong, but that's all it is water and sugar. So if you don't have simple syrup, just put a little bit of sugar at the bottom of your glass first, put a little bit of water in there, mix all that up, and then add everything else. So just a dash of that, some bitters. If you don't know what bitters are, this is what bitters are. I'm not really quite sure what bitters are either. But I was reading something saying that essentially this is the salt and pepper of the cocktail world. So, you know, I just use it like that. If I use salt and pepper, I use bitters, you know. Put in a couple dashes of those. I do kind of a lot. I kind of like the way it makes things taste. Oh, I just spilled a bit. Well, that's awkward. Clean. I like the way that this tastes. I like the way it makes everything else taste. So I kind of put a lot in there, but you know, 2 or 3 dashes is kind of normal. And then you go in with your very fine bourbon. We're using some military special because we're cheap. Dump that in. And obviously, I have not ratioed this out. I haven't measured it. Just play with whatever you want. If you want it sweeter, obviously add more sugar. If you want it bitterer, add more bitters. If you just want it stronger, add more whiskey, whatever works for you. Give it a quick little mix. Little mixy mix. And that right there is how you make a very basic old fashioned. Now, a lot of people use oranges. That's kind of a very prominent thing using old fashioned. It's actually kind of like kind of a big thing in an old fashioned. You use an orange. You just like take the orange peel, cut off just the peel. You like squeeze it in there a little bit, rub it around the rim of the glass to get some of the orange flavor on there, and you just drop it in there, fucking garnish. I don't have any oranges in the house because, like I said, this is a very basic old fashioned. It's not, you know, you're not going to be able to keep oranges in your house all the time if you're only drinking old fashioned once every now and again. It doesn't make sense to keep oranges in your house all the time. So I mean, you can make it without an orange if you want. You can make it without the cherries if you want. You can make it with the orange and no cherries. Obviously, There is 1,001 ways, probably more than that, honestly, to make an old fashioned. Even like different regions of the country have their own old fashioned. Like Wisconsin has an old fashioned that's very special to Wisconsin. It's like if you don't make it that way, you're not making it right. You know, everyone has their own way of doing it, but this is just a very basic, simple way of doing it. It tastes good, but you don't have to have a lot of ingredients. You don't have to keep oranges in the house, all that. If you do use oranges, because I made one the other day with oranges, there's a difference, but I wouldn't really say it's better or worse without oranges. It's kind of personal preference. But I always take a little bit of orange juice and squeeze it in there too, at any step in the process. And it just makes it like a little bit sweeter too without having like a sugary sweetness. It's more of a natural fruity sweetness, obviously coming from an orange. It kind of makes sense that it's that way. But that's basically it right there. I hope this was informative for y'all. Recommend y'all go out and try it. It's not too expensive. I think the bitters are like roughly $10, probably a little bit less, but we'll just say 10 on the high side for like 4 ounces of bitters. But I mean, you use like 2 or 3 dashes at a time. You'll have this bottle of bitters for a very long time. Simple syrup, I think this was about $3, somewhere right around in there. But obviously, if you have sugar and water, you can make your own for very, very cheap. Cherries, about $3. You can even skip the cherries if you want to, and then some whiskey that you'll probably already have anyway, and ice that is free if you have an ice maker. If not, then you have to buy ice cube trays, and it costs as much as ice cube trays. But that's basically it right there. I hope y'all, try my recipe. Let me know if you liked it. If you change it, let me know if you thought it was better. And maybe I'll try out your recipe, because it might be better than mine. Because I'm definitely not perfect at this. But that's that for this episode of The Sully Show. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends so we can all enjoy whiskey together. And cheers.